We are literally just hours now from Election Day, as voters across the country will be heading to the polls tomorrow. But those in 13 battleground states, if you will, ultimately decide the race. And that is where Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will be directing their efforts today. Here with me to discuss today, Christina Shockey, the Deputy Communications Director for the Clinton campaign. Christina, thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
So let's talk schedule here, if nothing else.
Yes.
What do you make of the Secretary's rivals' schedule today? 5 states in a final push. It's been described earlier today as spaghetti against a wall. What do you make of it?
You know what? We're not quite sure what to make of it. We have never really understood his schedule of where he's going or why. We've been very strategic about how we use the Secretary's time. You know, there were a number of states that had early voting: Florida, Nevada, North Carolina. We spent a lot of time in those states to really encourage our supporters to get out there and early vote so we'd have that cushion on Election Day. And then we turned to states that actually are game day elections, which is New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and also Michigan. So that's why we're spending our time in that way. Those are the states that really matters what happens on Election Day. We have a great ground game and organization to get at our voters, and we wanted her to spend her time to make that final plea to those voters in those states.
Now we're seeing record numbers of early voters turn out. Some 40% of the electorate will have voted by tomorrow.
Yes.
And yet, for 9 days, those voters have been going to the polls with the cloud of a possible new investigation really, into her use of a private email server by the FBI sitting over her. What impact does the campaign believe that had on her support?
You know, I have to say, when Director Comey made that unprecedented announcement 11 days before election, which we know really went against the guidance of leadership of the Department of Justice and really broke with longtime protocol of the FBI, we were perplexed by that, but we really followed Hillary's lead, which was to stay focused. Don't get distracted. We, in talking to our voters, know that most people have just made up their minds about emails. This is something that's been extensively reported on for over a year now. Most people made up their minds. So Hillary made the decision, let's stay focused in getting out there and talking to people about what she would do as their president to make a real difference in their lives. So we as a campaign just followed her lead and we really stayed focused. So we don't really believe it's had that great of an impact. We were obviously relieved yesterday to see that they decided there's nothing here to move forward with. We always felt confident that that was going to be the outcome. And that's why when he made the announcement 11 days before the election, we wanted all the facts and all the information to get out there. We're glad it did. But we were always confident this was going to be the outcome, and we're just following Hillary's lead and getting out there and campaigning.
Okay, let's talk about Florida then. Donald Trump will be there today.
Yes.
All polls suggest the tightest of possible races there. For Donald Trump, certainly a state he must have to get to 270. Does the campaign feel it's done enough there?
You know what? We're really proud of the organization we built in Florida and the work we've already done there. As you said, 40 million Americans have already voted. More than 5 million have voted in Florida alone. And what we've seen there is a real surge in Latino and Asian Pacific Islander votes. They actually have doubled in the turnout from 2012. And a third of those were people who didn't vote in the last presidential election. That really speaks to our registration efforts in that state and the work we've done to get our people out there and to early vote. So we're feeling really good. Another interesting fact coming out of Florida is 650,000 African Americans have already voted in that state. That's a 20% increase from 2012. We're working hard in that state. We know it's going to be really close. Florida is always very close, but we're feeling really good this day before the election and the work we've done there.
They talk about the blue wall, usually referring to the Rust Belt, perhaps the Northeast, but now there may be a western part of it in Nevada, where you mentioned the Latino vote, and I always feel compelled to mention it's not a monolithic vote.
Not at all.
But in terms of the numbers, with some 80% of the electorate having already cast its ballots, the numbers certainly seem to suggest outperforming as it would benefit the campaign. What do you make of what you've seen there, and perhaps what it might say about other states to come?
You know, we're really seeing the formation of a Hillary coalition, and we're seeing that in Nevada. We've just had unprecedented level of voting from Latinos and Asian Pacific Islanders in Nevada, and that's joining a coalition of millennials, of suburban moms, of college-educated voters who are really coming out to support Hillary. You know, one of the unreported facts about 2008 and 2012 is President Obama actually lost lost the white millennial vote. We expect Hillary to win it tomorrow. And so she's really put together a diverse, strong coalition that's right on the brink of putting the first woman in the White House.
It's a voting bloc that did go with Senator Sanders in the primaries, which takes us to Michigan, a state that Senator Sanders won in the primary season, a state where she will be today, a state that has leaned historically blue and seems to be, with regard to the ad buys and the candidate's presence there, concerning to a degree?
You know what? I just would say this is Hillary's way. She doesn't take anything for granted. We know that we lost the primary there. We had some work to do there. She's really worked very hard in the state. President Obama's going to be there today. Chelsea Clinton's going to be there today. We're just not taking it for granted. We feel confident we're going to win in Michigan, but again, it's a game day state. Most voters are going to turn out and vote tomorrow. It has very limited early voting, so we got to get our people to the polls, and that's why we're putting so much time and having our really incredible surrogates spending time in that state.
We were just talking about the 2-minute ad that a lot of Americans will see in prime time tonight on various shows. Kevin
we'll
can
see
wait
it on
here
CBS tonight. Yes.
What will the message be? And I guess it's really, if nothing else, the closing argument for this campaign is going to be what?
You know, Hillary wanted to get out there and talk directly to the American people about what's at stake in this election. We're really making a choice tomorrow on what kind of country we want to be. And she wanted to talk to people about what she believes America is, which is strong and fair. And we've got to keep moving forward and build an economy that works for everybody, not just those at the top. She wanted to speak directly to American voters and those that don't support her, to talk about how she's going to be a president for everyone. If she has the privilege of being the president of the United States, she's going to wake up every day in the White House and get to work on behalf of American families. I think what everyone knows about Hillary is she never quits. She never gives up. She's a real fighter, and she's going to be a fighter on behalf of America's families.
Well, 5% of likely voters say they still have not yet decided, perhaps leaving no stone unturned. Your candidate is out there for a final day.
She's working her heart out.
Christina Sciacca, we very much appreciate the time today.
Thank you.